All right. I think we're good to go. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Heart of Volunteer Veterans Podcast. I'm your host, Chris, and we're out here in sunny Moreno Valley, California. And our next veteran guest has got an amazing story for you. He's going to lay it down from his beginnings here in California through his service and what he's got going on right back here at home. So stick with us, and we'll be right back with you. You know, I am constantly reminded of just what it means to serve. And I think back to 9/11. You know, I was at the sniper school when 9/11 kicked off. I mean, I was already in the game. But these other veterans that joined after 9/11, they watched it on TV, and then they joined, knowing that we were on the road to war. We've got a veteran with us that did just that. Please welcome our veteran guest and a great friend of mine to the show, Mark Miller. Mark, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, Chris. Thanks a lot for having me on. I'm honored and humbled. Glad you made it out here to spend some time with me. It's been about 13 years.
It's been a great time. So, how's your day been, man? We haven't really gone anywhere. It's been a little hot out, but we've been pretty busy driving around. Where did we go? We went to Laguna Beach.
Yeah. Went out and we picked up one of my childhood friends, Chris.
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law took off with us, Ethan, and went out to Laguna Beach, and it was a beautiful day. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, and had a cool breeze, and we got some snacks up there on the roof of the Mozambique. You said you really liked that little pie they made you, right?
It's some kind of flake-topped African pie with chicken and mushrooms. Amazing. I've never had anything like that in my life. It was very, very delicious. I got spoiled.
Yeah,
on that for sure.
My wife and I went there for an anniversary a couple years ago, and I want to say she got the goat curry. It was phenomenal, and I had a seafood mixed dish. Don't remember the name of it, but it was also delicious. So glad we got to go over there and check that out.
Yeah, anytime I can get up on a roof and look out over everything and just kind of relax, that's always a good setup. The rooftop bars are where it's at.
Especially when they're right on the beach. And
absolutely.
Absolutely. That or maybe in like the Swiss Alps. You know?
Yeah. There were some real characters there at that place. Like the guy sat next to me, he was a character.
Yeah. Didn't he give you a bicep squeeze or something like that?
Yeah, something. He was trying to do a business deal because he was like some kind of telecommunications guy that like started his business in Jersey and then moved there to Laguna. He's probably got tons of money, but he was just running. He was running some kind of game.
Yeah, he was. He was definitely occupied.
Yeah. Well, hey, Mark, once again, man, welcome to the show. You've listened to some of these. You know, we've talked about, what the show does and what we're about. So I'm going to turn the show over to you, man. You can, we'll just have a conversation about whatever you want. Let the listeners know who Mark Miller is. It's Miller time.
Well, thanks a lot, Chris. I listened to my buddy Perchek, and we've been close for a real long time, and my buddy Duran, and we've been very, very close for many years, and so listening to their stories, I do truly believe that listeners out there can find some hope, and if they need it, or just a perspective on, that you can make it through a struggle. And both those guys' amazing stories, both overcame those struggles to be very successful to them. I was there when they were going through a lot of those issues, either, physically or, across the country, but, staying in contact and talking to them. And so, my family knows Perchik because he came out here and stayed with me for a little bit. and they're just overjoyed. We're so happy that Perchik's doing good. I said, yeah, he stopped drinking and he bought a house, and
Yeah.
and so it was I love hearing about people in general doing well and being successful, but when they are close to you, you have a lot of love and respect for them. It's that much more meaningful when you hear about them just doing good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Steve, man, he just it's going to come out here pretty soon, so I might as well say it. Perchek, everybody, he got invited by a veterans group to come and come speak to them and give them the insight basically into his story. When I asked him, I said, hey, if you need any help, right? And he goes, I'm going to use the same I used from the show. It was good. The way he brought it was good. He's getting his back on his feet. He's figuring out his purpose in life now. It's pretty exciting to see.
Absolutely. And there is a lot of hope in his story because he even said it, and I've shared many a beer with them, and not one beer, but
right.
He wouldn't be on my list, top 10 of guys that I would think would stop drinking, and I think he said he never thought he would stop drinking, and now that he stopped, people go up to him, man, it's really cool you stopped drinking, and how he explained it, but. And as soon as he was sober, I talked to him and he told me he'd stop drinking. And I just told him, hey, yeah, man, congrats, good job on that, and just stick with it, which he has. And I don't know, I think that listening to both of their stories and many others, I think that addiction, even though it can be, there's some similarities there, but people can overcome it differently, and once you make it over, first couple months, then you kind of start to learn,
new life skills.
Yep. And I think just continuing that, staying disciplined to that. Durant said every day he has to keep it up, right? And then so day at a time. But I don't see why both of them won't be successful throughout their entire lives.
I get the impression that both of them, every day that they wake up, they're a better person. Just by the fact that they lived in, they lived in addiction for so long that like they couldn't see the progress they were making from, good intentions, good friends, all these good things that life puts in front of you that are good. They never got a chance to really take advantage of them. And like wake up like refreshed and be like, today's Wednesday? What? I'm going to go and fire it up. You know what I mean? It's Monday. I'm going to go fire it. Who does that? But somebody that's living a life that's just, the days don't matter. It's about the moments themselves. And those two are powerful reminders of just live the day. That you don't have to worry about the day of the week other than like where you need to be. Live the day. It's exciting, man. I'm excited to see where those guys go.
Absolutely, yeah.
The people they bring with them.
Yeah, and they both have a lot of really awesome goals, in their horizon, both of them. And so, yeah, I look forward to seeing them achieve those.
All right, Mark. So you're, like I said, you're from California, like born and raised. Give us some background, for the listeners that are out there that are, maybe from your area. Maybe they even kind of knew you, but they served a different place, a different branch or something like that. Maybe they're listening to the show, but give everybody, all the listeners, kind of background.
Yeah, I was born in out in the LA area, and at a early age, I learned how to ride a bike there. But at a pretty early age, we moved up to Santa Rosa, which is in the Bay Area, and just kind of totally different lifestyle up there. California, northern and southern California can almost be like two different states.
They've actually tried to do that.
And there's some people that still, want to do that. And some guys are kind of crazy. They want 3 states. They want northern, central, and southern.
I actually like it. I like the 3-state solution. We'll talk about that later. That's crazy, dude. The 3-state California solution. I like it.
I think there would be a lot of hungry people out there on some end of the spectrum. But, we moved up there and I enjoyed it. Had a good group of childhood friends, and many of these guys I'm still friends with today. You know, you met Chris the other day.
Yeah.
I enjoyed doing a lot of family functions. You know, we're pretty close in family. I got a older brother, and two older sisters, and you know, we grew up going camping. You know, love to go to the redwoods. A lot of experience there, and go out to the coast. And me, my brother, you know, Chris, that you just met, and his brother, we used to free climb the cliffs there on the beach. You know, and I remember we had these grass cuts all over our hands, like paper cuts, and we get back, show my dad, and he busts out some super glue.
That's old school.
Yeah, it's like Vietnam era. Yeah, so he super glues all of our cuts. It was comedy. Actually, I still use that today. I get a paper cut, I slap some super glue on it. So, is
that nostalgia or just?
I like the way super glue smells in my hands. Yeah, and then you know, played some baseball. Was an all-star in Little League and
in Little League.
Little League, yeah. Played some basketball at elementary. We won a championship one year, and my father, my parents, they were pretty strict with the scholastics. So school and video games, you know, they let us play, and we rode bikes, but it was always you know,
schoolwork first.
Do schoolwork and actually extra schoolwork my dad gave us. So we had. What
did your folks do?
My dad was a physician assistant. So
nice.
He was actually at Stanford training to be a doctor, but he took a semester off, a semester quarter, whatever their system was down there, and when he took that break, he got drafted in Vietnam. So he got swooped up, went over to 101st, and was a combat medic.
Yeah.
Right. My mom was stayed home until I got a little older, because I'm the youngest. Once I was old enough to pretty much kill and eat for myself at about 5, she went off to
back to school.
No,
you know what's funny, man, is do you? Well, you probably don't see it, but like as the children start coming, the parents get like, we got this. It's right. Like the moment you're born, they probably both looked at each other. It's like, this one's not going to die.
Yeah, oh man, they were hands off, man. Yeah. I had to walk home from the hospital.
That's what I'm talking about.
No, but so she stayed home until I was a little older, and then she worked for the post office for a little while, and you know, some of the jobs, and I think she ended up once I was kind of in high school, she started doing she was like a nurse assistant, that sort of thing. So but yeah, my dad I used to have to read when I used to come home from school, and he'd put a sheet on his closet door, and I used to have to write down the book pages and times that I read, and I had to read at least 30 minutes a day every day after school.
That's militant.
Yeah, well, his dad, my grandfather, was career military, career Army, and he was like a World War II Korea guy, and so
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I definitely got a taste of it. He would, me and my brother would be, you know, wrestling or something. He would come in and we'd snap up, and he'd put a orange on the table, and he would say, we'd have us both sit down, and he'd give us a sheet of paper and a pencil, and he'd say, write a 1-page essay about that orange. And that's what he would do. You know what I mean?
I like your dad.
During the summertime, it was, if we weren't in summer school, he'd say, well, you're going to be in summer school or you're going to work. You know, so when we were 12, 13, when you start summer school, they start offering around like junior high, right? So 12, 13. So we would print up flyers and basically go, you know, pass them around the neighborhood. Detail cars, landscaping, you know, that sort of thing. And we actually, I think, enjoyed it because, you know, me and my brother were real close, so we used to actually have a good time out there doing stuff. And we, you know, we had some money in our pocket. Yeah. And but it obviously taught us, you know, more than just the money in our pocket. You know, it taught us just to, you know, stay busy, keep working, you know, some work ethic, and you're not going to just sit around. My dad, if he left somewhere and came back and you're sitting in the same spot, he's going to have you do something. You know what I mean? So there's some weeds to be pulled, right? But yeah, they were cool though. I was pretty easygoing with my folks, and they I used to like to camp with my friends. And once I started driving, they would, hey, can I take the car? Take the truck? Can I go camping? And they throw me the keys, maybe a little gas money, some money for food, and But I had to do what I had to do, which was get some good grades and no drinking and driving, right? So,
right. It seems like you're. I mean, like your whole family, your DNA has guided you to the point of of service, of where you are, and do you have any other friends that are like that you know of?
I do. Matter of fact, Anthony Duran. He's got like all of his brothers. Were all in, and Waits both of his brothers served, and I know quite a few people. A lot of the people I know, I think, came from military backgrounds. I think it's almost like we honor military service in this country, so that way we honor the legacy of family service and generational service. So. I think people are proud to say that their grandfather was in World War II and their father was in Vietnam, and then their uncle was in Gulf Storm, and now they were in Afghanistan or Iraq.
Right.
I think that there's that's special.
When you graduate high school, where'd you go? Did you head off to school like your dad?
No, my plan was in a sense I did. I got accepted to Long Beach State. Ethan, who you just met, his brother-in-law went down there and told me how much fun it was. He was right on the beach and whatnot, and I was kind of like, I'll be able to get back to LA, because over the years, we would always go back down to LA and visit and spend time, spend summers and stuff like that. So it was still almost like almost like my home, what I mean? So I got accepted down there, and then so I left right after high school, like 2 months after, and I moved in with my sister. But both of my sisters, who had, I think had already finished their bachelor's, and they were both kind of working on their master's, they said, don't start, the general ed at the 4-year. Go and do, knock out the general ed at the, community level. You'll save a bunch of money, and then, I took that advice. So I went to El Camino in Torrance, and I was there, pretty good time. Met some people. I was working over on Ocean Gate, I think it is, in Hawthorne and Redondo Beach, actually. And ended up getting my hand crushed by a cardboard compactor.
It must have been pretty crazy because you used to have the scar.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. Actually, that was pretty painful. I ended up still finishing my shift, but I went to the school nurse, and she said, you can move your fingers and everything, and that's good. But she says, but because the skin's broken, she's like, you gotta go see a doctor, because if that gets infected and you have a bone fracture in there, you could lose your hand. And I'm like, well, there's a point to being tough, and there's a point to being stupid. And so I was like, so I'm gonna go get it checked out, which means I had to do the whole workers' compensation thing. So I was going through this recovery period. My one sister up north was actually graduating from San Francisco State, and so I wanted to go to her graduation. I wasn't working because I was in workers' compensation at the time, so I didn't have a whole lot of stuff. So I moved my stuff back up north. I was off, for the semester also, and so I was up there. Went to her college graduation. Kind of spent some time there with some, friends from high school, and I was planning on going back down south, but it was going to be after my hand got all fixed up. I was in physical therapy, ended up having to have surgery on it, and that's when I was back at my dad's house, and that's when the infamous day that we shall never forget occurred. So September 11th. I was sleeping, and I'd have to look at the exact times that the plane hits, but I think in New York it was, roughly around, was it around like 11 or something like that? 12, somewhere around there. And so for me, it was, actually, I think it might have been a little later than that. I think when I woke up, my dad woke me up and it was 10 something, which is 3 hours, ahead and behind.
Yeah.
And he says, we're under attack. And so, I'm just like, well, it's not really what you expect to hear when you first wake up. So, I get up and go into the room, standing there in my boxers and watch the news and see the towers are still up at that time and see the other planes and they're showing replays and stuff like that. Then they, then I see the, people jumping out the windows and then they both fall. And it's just like, it was surreal. I think everybody was obviously in shock. I think it shocked the world, shocked the country, and so yeah, I went down to the I knew that it was time, so I went down to the recruiter station at Chris's brother. He wanted to go, so we went down there and basically was told, yeah, as soon as you're done with your physical therapy, your surgery, your hand heals up, come back and you can sign the docs. So
you went down there the day of?
Yeah, I went down there the day of.
What was the feeling down there? Could you remember it? Could you? I know you. I mean, I know it's hard to do because you had your own feelings of the day. But what did you remember? Anything like what was going on there at the recruiter station? And
I kind of remember the recruiter that we spoke to. There was a sense of seriousness. You know what I mean? It wasn't, oh yeah, come in and you could get your college paid for, and it was a feeling that you're going to war.
Yeah.
And I was always I just always thought of it like was reminded by the black and white World War II pictures when people were lined up down the street. It wasn't like that for us. There were some people there, but Santa Rosa's a smaller town, and we got there. It's pretty soon after it happened. I think a lot of people were actually probably still watching it on TV. But so I just I believed in the Call of Duty. You know what I mean? Just like so many before me, and I didn't want to sit on the couch, and if I was able, there wasn't anything that was going to keep me from it. Well,
I got to tell you, man, we've had the conversation before, and I talked to other soldiers that I've had, and they've kind of feel it. That was like the change, like the huge change. And the thing is, I will always be in awe of the service members that joined after 9/11. While this time, while the war's going on, deployments are still happening. Military members are dying, and you young men and young women are still joining the fight, still going down range. You know what I mean? That, like Patrick and I were talking the other day. We were already in. We couldn't get out the next day. Hey, I don't want to be a part of this. I'm getting out. You know what I'm saying? Not that anybody I ever knew would do that, but it's like we're already in. It's like this is what we signed up for.
Right.
Not knowing that if it would ever happen. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy, man. By the time that happened for me, I was a mature. I wasn't a young man anymore. I'd been places. But it was. I still have an amazing amount of respect for your group of the generation. Just amazing, man. Selfless service. That's where, that's, you're linked to the Pearl Harbor, the World War II generation, by the fact that, we were attacked, and then action. So my hat's off to you, my friend.
Well, yeah, thanks a lot. I thank you for your service too. You put in a lot of time and you impacted a lot of people. I think that there's a lot of people alive out there today because of you, myself included. So,
and me too.
I also thank you. I look at it, as like in a household, you had two brothers, three brothers. What do they do? If they're the same age group, they're wrestling, fighting, crying to mom. The other one would get beat up, and they gang up on each other. Well, it's almost like that's what happens in our country, right? But when some outdoor kids down the street goes and mess with one of those brothers, what do those brothers do? They get together and they go kick some ass.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we did as a country, even though we have our differences and we have history and this and that. When we're attacked, we're gonna band together and come for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm honored and humbled to have known so many great young men and women that answered the call of duty and seen a lot of brave acts.
Yeah.
And sacrifice.
All right, so hey, you get 9/11, your hand gets healed up. What's your dad saying to you right now? Is he like, you're telling him you're joining, you're getting ready to pop smoke? What's your dad saying? He's been there, he's done that. What's he saying to you?
To tell you the truth, my grandfather, my dad's dad was career Army. He was, like I said, and then my mom's dad was also Army during World War II. Her mom's brother was Korea. Her brother was Vietnam. My dad was Vietnam. My uncle was a light colonel in the Air Force during Desert Storm. He was that directed air traffic over there, and so my goal was actually to go into the military as an officer. So I was going to do like at that time, not really probably knowing what I know now, but I was going to do the military science route.
Right.
So my family was already kind of, I think, mentally prepared and aware that I was going to join up. But
right.
they understood why that spurred me to go and kind of scrapping that plan.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, there wasn't a whole lot of, are you sure? And they were just as pissed off as me. And, I think we all felt that it was, a righteous call to join.
Yeah. I always wonder, man, about, like the older, like when a father's, sons go off or their daughter, if they're not like, God, I want to go with them. I want to grab my duffel bag. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to go back to boot camp, but, I want to go on this adventure. I wonder if your dad had that. You know what I'm saying? On the inside, if he was like, oh, if he didn't envy you for the adventure you're getting ready to go on.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Or he might have been like, all right, well, it's your war. It's your responsibility.
Yeah.
He took his shrapnel in the neck in Vietnam,
Yeah.
Got it taken out. He stayed there, got his Purple Heart. But, he was probably like, oh, enjoy.
Yeah.
Hope you got your feet ready for which walk you're going to be doing.
Now, speaking about that, man, did you go to basic? Were you ready? Physically, mentally, and ready to get after it?
Well, the reason why I was ready, because I was, kind of, doing sports through school, wrestled a little bit, and kind of stayed with the awareness that I was going to have to go in and, have some physical standards to meet, and not wanting to suck. So I had ran and did some push-ups and sit-ups and basic stuff before I left. So I was pretty physically ready. So yeah, I went down there. I think it was like January. My hand was fixed up, and I left in February.
2002.
2002.
Yeah.
And there was actually I was sitting in a reception for like a 3.5 weeks because the basic classes were like backed up. Mm-hmm. So I was sitting there for almost a month, and but yeah, got into my class, did well, had a good platoon, so I have a lot of love for those guys, and even though I haven't talked to any of them, wasn't able to keep in contact with any of them over the the past years, but had a lot of good guys that I met, and I ended up I was one of the soldiers of the cycle and a shot expert I think shooting expert was something that was like a catalyst for the other things that I did in the military.
What are those things? Where'd you go after basic? Now you went to Fort Benning.
Yeah, I went to Fort Benning, so School of Infantry. I signed uncommitted, and then when we were about to graduate and you get your orders where you're going to go, mine says Schofield Barracks, Hawaii. So having signed uncommitted, just say, hey, wherever y'all want to send me, they send me to Hawaii. So I say, hey, thanks, Uncle Sam, for that. Good looking out.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Around the same time that was happening to you, I was in the same boat. I was at the sniper school. I was trying to leave along with everybody else. Was trying to get out to units and get to work, start using our skills. And I went to reenlistment. I'm like, hey, my window's open. It opened like 2 days ago. I'm ready to do this. What's the first thing smoking? And they dialed it up. In Hawaii, it was it. So, yeah.
Yeah. So the stars aligned, and
I never thought the Army would send me to Hawaii. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I thought that was different. Like people that paid the Army went to Hawaii. I didn't think that the Army would send me.
Right. Yeah. I remember hearing about guys. Before the war started, people would try to get to Hawaii their entire career. Yeah. Well,
we know some people.
Oh yeah.
That done that.
Yeah.
But hey, it is what it is, man. People like what they like.
Yeah.
And they, I would have to say, man, that especially like the Hawaiians that ended up like staying in our battalion, in our brigade, on the island in the division for so long. Mm-hmm. It's easy to come into a battalion where you already have people that know the area, people that already have things in place, and the family that you get out of that, the ohana, is just amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that we lose that. But, we shifted over to that homesteading thing, but, that's either here or there.
Yeah, yeah.
So how was Hawaii, man? Let's talk about your time over there.
Yeah, Hawaii, I was definitely blessed to have been stationed there. It would take me a while to tell you all the people that you have memories that I have with from guys that were, I started off in Bravo. I was there for about 2 months, and I had to go do the recon tryouts. I went over scouts, and then so I had met a lot of people from each company. So each one of the recon teams support a company. So, Team 1, Alpha, Team 2, Bravo, Team 3, Charlie type of thing. And so the different teams, those guys come from the different companies. And so I met different, the people in each of those companies through these guys that were in the recon platoon.
Right.
And we enjoyed the island, and we go to the beach, and we go out and eat, and we have bonfires, and during my time in the barracks, you know how it is, the barracks, when we throwing back beers and laughing and listening to music, and somebody's got a guitar and they're playing, and you really kind of develop a lot of just to develop a bond with each other. And this is before you've been deployed together, but the laughs. Man, some of the funniest guys I've ever met, were in that time period of my life, you know what I mean? And those guys always had me cracking up. They're, the jokes, the things that we would do. I remember seeing two guys, they got in a fight, but it was kind of like a fight because they're both out there tough guys, but they didn't really want to hurt each other. So they were wrestling in the hallway, and one of them was trying to get out of a lock so hard that he ends up, he's wearing his army shorts, but he shit his shorts. And one little dookie ball rolled out of his shorts, and they both...
Fight ended?
The fight ended, and it was literally, everybody watching, it was just hysteria, laughter. Nobody was even mad at each other anymore. It was, we made him clean it up. He had to pick up the dookie ball.
That's effort.
It was hilarious, and Yeah, I mean, it's just so many guys. Campanelli, Waite, they're back and forth together. Just epic. Waite, Kraus. Oh my goodness, Rush, Waite, like the different ones. Underwood, Underwood. I mean, there's so many guys out there, and so it was a lot of fun. I think that we enjoyed being on the island, and this was, and when we went out to the field, we worked hard. You were there, and so it wasn't like we were out there playing games when we went out to the field, and I think that the training there did prepare us for Afghanistan. Mentally, physically.
Definitely. I got there. I want to say only a couple of weeks after Colonel McBride and Command Sergeant Major Coleman took over the battalion, and you could tell that the whole the surfer division was gone. The mentality that you were gonna, hey, you're in Hawaii, and it's like you can go do, you can surf for PT. That didn't exist anymore. Right. They ended that stuff.
Yeah.
And cranked up like Army volume, not Hawaii volume. Army volume, 25-mile, foot marches, getting us ready. I mean, it was definitely a changed atmosphere. Just with the fact that we were going to deploy, which was, for me, it was amazing. Great adventure, man. Great adventure. Great place.
Yeah. The standard that was required was high, and honestly, I think that that kept a lot of people alive during our deployment of OEF 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I started doing. I was in. They recon platoon looked at my scores through ASVAB, basic, my qualifications and everything. So they put me in the sniper role, and I started doing sniper training, and enjoyed it. I think I had a knack for it.
Yeah.
And liked crawling around in the ghillie suit.
Where did you? You guys went to Afghanistan. Well, we went to Afghanistan. Tell us a couple stories from Afghanistan, and then a couple of the operations that you remember.
Yeah, there was our first contact always stands out. We were moving through with AT platoon, so it was a couple. I think all three scout platoons, scout teams were there. And we were moving through a ravine, and we ended up taking Disco rounds. Excuse me. We ended up taking Disco rounds and over our head and mortar fire. It was nighttime. We were out nighttime patrol.
I think that was just our team.
Was it just our team?
And the PO.
And I think Norman, right?
Yeah, Norman had his driver and
okay, so that was just us.
The RTO, the headquarters RTO. Yeah.
And we get out of the kill zone, and I think it was Captain Grzewalski, was on the radio, and he was calling up for the air support. And then they come in with that Apache, and they start lighting it up, and then after actually you lazed the mountain, right?
Yeah.
So then after the Apache left, I believe it was an F-16 is what drops the JDAM, which is a 2-ton bomb. I think it's the
2,000 pounder.
Yeah, I think it's the largest. I want to say
there's bigger ones.
Is it? Yeah, maybe it's the largest one that plane drops. But anyway, when it dropped on that mountain through my night vision goggles, through my nods, the mountain looked like a Christmas tree. All the little the bushes on it all caught on fire.
Yeah,
and it was just I remember the sound and the impact, and we were far enough away so we didn't necessarily feel it because we were they were obviously in a safe distance, but. It still passed us though. That shockwave, and
I still remember the next day when we were in the next day because it was like an all night mission. But when the sun came up and we actually got up on that piece of high ground, there was looked like old Soviet Mujahideen, like fighting positions up there, like just a trench line. With blood, we never found anybody.
Right. Yeah.
That was
blood trails. Yeah.
That was the first time where I'm like, oh, dude, these guys are ghosting us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that didn't last very long. We started catching them.
Yeah. Yeah. What was that?
Now, remember we were talking about, like, we were only on the ground for a couple of days there at Kandahar. Remember that? We're like getting organized
Right.
and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just middle of the day, man. I think it was like right after lunch.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's like machine gun fire.
Yeah.
That was crazy, dude.
That was literally right out front of my hooch to the right.
Yeah.
That was. That was right next to us. So, but it's interesting that even though that happened, everybody in there, the games were over.
Yeah.
We locked and loaded, and we ran out to engage.
Right.
And it turns out that it was a fatal accidental discharge.
Negligent discharge.
There you go. And then it was from a saw gunner that didn't clear it properly.
Right.
And it ran off on him.
Well, here's the thing, folks. You cannot, when they say do it this way when it comes to firearms, do it right. They tried to bungee cord the saw legs to the stovepipe for the turret mount, and it basically just tipped it over. And when it tipped forward, it just started firing. And that kid was standing right on the hood in front of it, and it just stitched him up from his knee to his shoulder. He had bullet holes in a diagonal from one side to the next. That was terrible, man.
Yeah, that was a huge tragedy.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
Wrong time, wrong place.
Yeah.
And not good. It's unfortunate, man, that things like that happen, and I've always been fortunate to have good leadership around that didn't, they cracked heads to keep things like that from happening.
Right.
And it's that's tough, man. That's tough.
Yeah, I think the next contact that stands out was when we were with the CIA handler,
the Geckos,
the Gecko Commandos.
Yeah,
and he had trained up some elite Afghan soldiers, and those guys were hard as nails. And we went through what was the Arghandab Valley.
Yep.
And because there was always stuff going on in there, we call it the Valley of Death.
We went from the from the west to the east, all the way through it.
All the way through.
Till we get to the end. It's like the valleys, there's nothing here. And it just ended.
Yeah.
Just go back. It was crazy.
That was, I think about that engagement because of how it could have been. Mm-hmm. We were moving from town to town to town and, find little weapons and stuff and, swoop them up and talk to the village elders. And then we would just kind of bounce through. And we ended up getting to one. And when you look back, and we learned from it going forward in the deployment because we get to a village and it was quiet. There's no kids. And then I think that yourself and many listeners out there know that when you don't see kids run up asking for candy,
your spidey sense kicks up.
Oh, absolutely. But we, I can speak for myself. I can't say whatever anybody else was thinking, but for myself, I it was almost just like just another stop, And but why we stopped was because one of the Gecko Commandos saw this Afghan man running away. Running away from us, and they got off. They stopped the convoy, and then they got off and they chased him down and they caught him. Mm-hmm. And as they're questioning the guy, I would think that it was a conversation like, "What are you running from?" We take a RPG, and it hits the Humvee, boom,
Yeah.
And I was
now, if I remember right before that, what was happening was They caught the guy. They brought him back. He was a younger guy.
Yeah.
And his mother came out of the village. She was tattooed all over. I mean, up there in the Argandab, man, the women are, I mean, they're tribal. She was tattooed up, and she didn't care who she was talking to. She was raising hell. And that whole process is going on. And then all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah.
That lead vehicle, that RPG slammed right. You know what saved those guys was the fact that when old boy fired it from the riverbed, there was a piece of ground that was like higher than his line of sight, and it hit it, detonated the round, and then so the round fireballed and slammed into the Hilux pickup. It would have destroyed it into a fireball had it hit it.
Right.
But since it detonated prior to, it saved everybody in the truck.
Yeah.
And then they started using them damn RPGs as mortar rounds. They were falling all over the place.
They're falling all over the place.
And literally it was just like, it's coming from that direction. Let's go.
Yeah.
And it was the river run.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. You said, Mark, Miller, take that position and cover us. And then you guys took off, man. And Perkins was called up medevac for one of the commandos.
I lost Perkins right off the bat because as soon as the geckos took a casualty,
right.
I lost Perkins. I mean, he was my medic.
Yeah.
He was also my
radio guy. Yeah.
Well, he was my lead slinger. You know what I mean? Like the person that maneuvered to my left or right, and we did the deadly dance, and he was no longer there.
Yeah.
So I had to go with geckos, man. And
Underwood ran down there with you.
Man, they're machine. I mean, they're standing there, just hosing down because we ran across that
orchard,
across the river into the orchard, and that's where the donkey was, man.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. The 5-legged donkey.
Yeah.
It didn't look right.
Yeah, those donkeys were pissed. Those donkeys, remember at night, they were like running around like trying to trample on us because they were pissed that we were like shooting them up. They must have had some sort of fear factor or something.
Well, the donkey that I ended up shooting, and I hate to say that, folks, but I did. It was tethered to a stake in the orchard, in the middle of the orchard, and when I looked out, it had 5 black legs, and that's not supposed to happen.
Right.
And I'm taking machine gun fire from that position, like 45 yards in front of me in a lane of the orchard. So I just shot the donkey, and sure enough, there was somebody behind it, and he went down too. And we just kept moving. The gecko guys were out of control, dude.
They were badass. They were very brave too.
That engagement on the donkey and the fighter in the orchard, that happened within like the first 2 minutes of entering. After that, I never fired another round because the geckos just ran in front of me, all over the place, just Keystone Cops. And I was like, well, I guess I'm just managing these dudes and trying not to get killed because I mean, it's me and Underwood. We don't have the firepower.
Yeah, exactly.
But these guys are like on the hunt, and I'm like, well, follow these dudes. Yeah. And then of course we get over there to the other side of the orchard. Yeah. I lose my only can of Copenhagen we have left for the mission when I slide down that bank. And then, I guess that the warlord on the other side in that big compound, he got scuffed up. So,
well, that's why I bring up that is because that commando saw that guy run and stopped our convoy. We were going to hit that. It's like a river type bed and make a left. Yeah. And that's where they had IEDs in place. Yep. And so that would have been a wrap for all of us. I think,
I can almost say, man, is that since we stopped and kind of got organized, it made them initiate early.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
And it totally was doom on them. Yeah. Because we literally went from like a pack of wolves, like chewing on like a little fingernail size of meat. And that happened, and we'd all turned meat, fresh meat, and we just went after it. Dude, it was like it was like zombies, man. Yep, it was crazy.
Yeah, and then so we produced some casualties, and then we captured 2 and put them on the bird. Yep. Yeah, I actually would think about those guys over the years and wonder are they still sitting in Guantanamo?
No, they're done. They never went there.
They never went. You think?
Yeah, they're Dunsky.
Yep. They didn't make the right.
Yeah.
And then another for me, another very impactful contact was when we were with the convoy, and us scouts, we used to catch a bird. We used to hop on a truck and then jump off. We had our own little, we had a fiberglass bolted to the sides of our. Remember those fiberglass boards we had bolted to?
That were supposed to like protect you.
Right. It's a false sense of security, right? So
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
I got pictures of that.
Oh yeah.
I have pictures of us on the Gecko mission. I'm going to try to find those, man.
I remember bolting them on there. Like as a platoon, we were like all working together, bolting these fiberglass panels on the side of our Humvees because we just didn't, but that's what we had.
Right.
And yeah, if it might stop a ricochet or a piece of shrapnel, but but anyway, you're not worried about stuff like that. You're just it is what it is. And just same thing, we were riding around them Hiluxes. They don't have any protection or whatever.
Absolutely
so
none.
it's just what it is. And so we were hitching a ride to get to our AO, and it was like Alpha Company, some other support units, and then us. And they're like, hey, all right, you guys got to find a vehicle, right? And you can only have so many R2 and whatnot. And so I ended up getting in the front vehicle, the lead vehicle, and it was a Randolph, IN, Cook, Solely, and we it was a pretty long push. What is that? The one that you go down, right?
Oh, Highway 1,
right? And then once we get past that, that was like the longer stretch of it. And then once you get past that, we got to an area where we're start to get to the villages and everything, and the vehicle went down, took a flat, I believe. So they stopped the convoy, and Kraus comes up, says, "Hey, Mark Miller, let's switch out."
Mark Miller.
Yeah, I say, yeah, sure. I think he might have said Mills. I was like hey Mills, that's what y'all call me. So
What's funny is it feels good to say Mark Miller. I don't know why, dude. It just it's almost like Mike Lowry.
Yeah.
Mark Miller it feels good to say Mark Miller.
It feels weird actually to call you Chris. I'm sure you get
Mark
that all the
Miller.
time, but because
my mom named me Chris, so it feels comfortable.
Well, that you were with my buddy Chris, and when I would have to talk to you, I just like to tell him times I just call you Noel.
Yeah.
But so we switch out. I grab my rifle and my bag. We just had assault packs on that one, and we switch out. Kraus gets in that vehicle. Well, two vehicles decide to push forward, and the rest of us are hanging back. And then I was, sitting back. They were changing the vehicle. I'm making a Gatorade. We hear this is roughly probably about, I would think this was 300-400 meters, but you have to go around a mountain is where those two vehicles went. And we hear contact. Hear RPGs go off, and the classic sound of machine gun fire. And we look at each other. I remember it was Ginther, Clark, myself. There was Musso was there. There was Perchek, and the Grizz was there. Well, we ended up hopping on the Humvee, the Scout Humvee, and if you get the story from those other guys, I'm thinking of remember this from my perspective. So exactly where everybody's position actually was. I can't put it to that specific, but I know that on that truck that I was on, it was Ginther, Clark, Waite, myself, and I think Perchek, and we go flying around this mountain, and we see one Humvee, it's overturned, and the other one stopped, and we see Randolph. We get out. And we go into the kill zone of this ambush because they're still taking fire.
Yeah.
We go in and we hop off. You know what I mean? We're moving low. Fortunately, there was a wall, kind of like a Afghan style barricade wall on this dirt road.
This is during the day, right?
This is during the day.
Now, is this the one where the vehicle flipped and then the vehicle continued to get hit with RPGs?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember the pictures from this.
Right.
Yeah.
This is Daria, I believe. Daria, right?
Yeah.
And so we get there, and Randolph he says, "We need snipers on the mountain." And so me and as I ran up, I remember seeing Cook on the ground. Kraus was getting first aid. We came to find out, Kraus, his rifle got like destroyed, I think. Mm-hmm. He took some shrapnel on his back. Solely, he had some damage from the blast to his face and whatnot. But I'd heard he did something super freaking sick. Was like before the Humvee got hit again, and again you'd have to get the detail maybe from him. He was also there, but different perspective. But I think that he was like lighting it up with the Mark 19 before it got hit again. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so he was like, he's gonna get it right. So I'm telling you,
that's the thing about you guys, man. You guys are like relentless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You 9/11 folks, I mean, that joined, man. You guys are relentless, dude. Just bringing it.
Yeah. He crazy. I mean, I find it kind of gives me the chills. I find so much respect for those guys that they're in that situation. You know what I mean? And there was not a cower bone in their body. They weren't gonna. I'm gonna take cover behind this wheel. No, he was like, I'm gonna fucking bring it.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty badass. I got a lot of respect for those dudes that, even Kraus's weapons down, but he was down there saving Cook's life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just some serious business, you know what I mean? So we run up the mountain, me and Wade run up the mountain. He starts spotting for me. And then, no Musso got there. And, the Grizz he was calling in the much needed air support. And, then there was Ginther and Clark, and they were like kind of switching positions. And, we're all laying down fire to, cover these boys down there. And, but yeah, Apaches came. I think it was actually just one. It may have been just one Apache, and hellfire on them down in the position below. They were around this basically like walled in and Orchard. It was their firing position. And then the QRF showed up. Mm-hmm. And I believe on that one, the QRF, I want to say Duran might have even showed up on that one, because I think it was Alpha was QRF during that time. And I remember seeing the Afghan National Army soldiers charging towards that
the orchard.
That orchard, against machine gun fire.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was badass, I still have
the enemy don't shoot that well. They know that. It's their cousins. They know they don't shoot that well.
Yeah, that spray and pray, fortunately for us, isn't the most effective way to fight. So
right.
But again, I think about that time because I was like, man, I was just in that vehicle that got blown up and overturned and all that. So those experiences kind of.
Let me ask you this, man. How so you would have been in Kraus's seat.
Yeah.
So it would have been potentially your weapon that was damaged, and you that was potentially hurt.
Right.
How do you feel about that now? I know these are tough questions to ask, but it's a good question to ask. Like, how do you feel fortunate? Do you feel lucky? Do you have some kind of remorse for it? What do you feel now?
I got emotional. We got back to a clot, and I remember talking with Kraus about it, and got kind of emotional. It was just like, man, I mean, I was where you were supposed to be, and I just said how proud I was of him, and how he's like, I was like, you're like my hero. You know what I mean? That you took that seat, in the lead vehicle, and that we know that sometimes lead vehicle get hit first, and
that's the key.
Yeah, right. And then we just happened to switch out, by no means other than, hey, let's switch out or whatever. But there's different ways to look at why things happen,
Yeah.
Did you make the yellow light, or did you miss the yellow light and then you missed what was up ahead?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, man, it's. I've been in those situations where it should have been me and a couple other guys, but it wasn't. It was somebody behind us.
Right.
That was, like Petey and Alderman.
Mm-hmm.
That literally took me from the time I was retired probably for a year or so before I could finally sit down and get my head right around that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I always felt, even though I had no control over it, guilty. You know what I'm saying? Guilty that my vehicle rolled over it.
Right.
And, how is it going to be a pressure switch that's running from left to right across the road? Mm-hmm. A Humvee with 4 wheels that's overweighted with everything you can imagine, include my fat ass, and we don't
mm-hmm.
detonate it, mm-hmm. but the vehicle behind us does. That's that's hard to deal with.
Yeah.
But that's why we're here, though.
Right.
And what I mean, to help veterans get through that kind of stuff too.
And that's a great point to make, is that for any listeners out there that these as I'm telling these stories, they're probably like, oh, that reminds me of my time when this and that happened, and we all have them, and I wouldn't say that mine are any more important or special than anybody else's, but I would say that for mine, hey, they were unique to me. I was there, but
well, you were right. You were right there in it,
right?
Yeah, no doubt, man.
And for those that they were in those positions where that it wasn't their vehicle, it was their buddies, their best friend, mm-hmm. and then that to have any type of guilt, I would say do not put that on yourself. Do not put that on your shoulders. We don't know why everything happens. You know what I mean? And so to carry that around like, well, I should have been in that vehicle, I should have been the one that died. I would just say that you gotta get to a point where you have to let that go.
Right. Absolutely. I like that, man. Hopefully there's a lot of veterans out there that are kind of realizing, you can get over moral injury, and a lot of the moral injury that people actually take upon themselves is actually moral injury where they're completely out of play, where they couldn't affect the situation. Like you were saying, like Krause coming up and be like, hey man, let me get in the lead vehicle. Krause didn't know anything you didn't know.
Right. Krause
liked the view from the lead vehicle. I always rolled in the lead vehicle as a platoon sergeant. That was just how I did business. And so it makes sense to me. But like you said, it's like, you just never know.
Yep. Yeah, you never know.
It kind of is what it is when when it does. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of like off subject, but as an example is I read a story about this woman and how a car accident really changed her life. So she leaves her apartment and she gets in her car. She goes to back out of her driveway, and a car T-bones her, and she almost died. She had these years of surgeries and pain and suffering. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where what if she would have hit the snooze button one time?
Yeah.
Right. So if you look at some things like that, it kind of goes to show you that there's just things that happen in life that is out of our control.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Reiterate that. Don't carry that and put it on yourself.
Yep. So what sticks out to you the most from your deployment to Afghanistan?
I would think that just thankful for who I was with, the guys I went with. We truly had each other's backs. I mean, I still talk to the majority of them, even if it's a Christmas card during Christmas, a text, hey, how you doing? The bond that we have is truly a band of brothers. You
guys had you had a very, very strong scout platoon.
Right.
It was very strong, full of capabilities, and true men of iron. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was it was good. It was I left there when you guys started. The mission started getting good, but it was always good to hear you guys out there getting after it, man. Proud of you, brother.
Thank you. Yeah, no, man. Yeah, like I said, you responsible for a lot of my my sniping skill, and so I told you, you know what I mean. I said thanks for everything you did for me. Yourself, Normand, Scott, Ginther, Clark, Sergeant Major Coleman.
Good dudes, man.
Colonel McBride, yeah, absolutely. So, I think that we really we fed on each other's strengths. You know what I mean? Like all our backs were all hurting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nobody was complaining about it. And I'm sure there's plenty of, other guys out there. They're like, yeah, we didn't complain either. I'm not saying that others do, but I just know for me, my freaking back hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But not hearing Underwood complain, not hearing, Perchek complain, then I'm like, yeah, I can do it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know what's crazy, man, is like you talk about like backs and knees and stuff like that. There literally are, you've got people that go on one deployment and come back completely broken just from the weight and movement.
Yeah.
And I don't think people get that. They, like, oh, I was in Afghanistan and I hurt my back. Oh, it's like you moving boxes in the warehouse or something. You're talking, 100+ pound rucksack, moving under uneven terrain, and a body that's not like, it's not getting better.
Yeah.
From the day you hit the ground, your body breaks down. So whatever physical condition you came at, you're almost losing it every day in those environments.
Yeah. Yeah. The physical conditioning of the recon platoon, I think, helped.
Oh yeah.
Because we went pretty hard. You were there. We ran out of water. You know what I mean? And I believe that was 120 degrees, and we moved from night to night. And I believe it was 25K.
Yep.
And it took us about 24 hours. But we dropped our tops, but that was like a huge mistake because the sun was so baking.
Dude, it was massively hot.
And we walked so far, and we didn't realize that we had some logistical issues that we didn't realize we were gonna have, and so we, drank all our water, and then we get to our observation point, and AT was down below, right? We were supposed to get some water from him.
I think they did that to us on purpose.
They're like dirty scouts.
They just kept it from us within arm's length of giving us water, and they're like, we can't move out of our blocking position.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But we kind of laugh about that now, and I do think about that because I remember it was freaking hot, and then we walked that was just insane how far we walked. But I look back and I don't take for granted water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And wasting. And so.
Well, you live in California too,
right? Yeah, exactly. We've basically the sun is dripping on us, but I think that I remember that we would use humor to keep our spirits up.
Oh yeah.
Actually, it was on that movement when we ended up stopping on a side of a little mountain, and in a pretty secure area where we weren't going to get lit up and crept up on. But remember the clouds going past the sun, and the clouds would just about to provide some shade, and then all of a sudden it would just be line and go around the side.
That was,
dude.
Yeah,
it was like we were laughing because we were sucking so bad, and all we wanted was a little shade,
right.
And then the freaking clouds are playing tricks on us. And Krause, he farts, but he says, "Oh, I just shit my pants." We were freaking in tears because as bad as we were sucking, that would have made it suck that much more to have shit in your jaws. You know what I mean? So it was just stuff like that.
I would have threw some dirt on it and kept on moving, man.
Just straight. Just took out your knife, cut off your draws, and just toss them.
Yep.
For the Taliban to find.
Yep.
I think that, it was hard, but there's, I think we got strength from each other, encouraged each other.
I gotta tell you, man, that I look back at that one every once in a while. Think about it, when it comes to moving great distances, or man, it's hot out here. Okay, we've done this before. But that mission, has always kind of been the mark on the wall. It's you can do this. Whatever it is, man, this sucks. You can do it. You've done something that was, I can't even fathom that kind of movement under those conditions. And, we move quick. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And still providing our own security. So, a scout team moving across the desert floor.
Yeah,
providing its own security and moving, tactically, it takes a little bit of effort. And
absolutely.
And because of the terrain, that's the reason why we went through. If it would have been a straight shot from, from Lagman, to our sniper position would have been too easy, but it wasn't.
Right.
So tough.
Yeah, we did a lot of those movements too.
Yeah.
We did a lot of those movements. So
What is your turning into a veteran time, coming into veteran land? How does that look?
When I was deciding to get out, I just in my mind had to kind of put together a plan. I was planning on getting married, so before I got off the island, married my wife Christina, and
Now you met her on social media.
Met her on social media while I was
during the deployment, right?
Yeah, I believe I was in Kalot at the time. They had the little computer.
Terrible internet connection.
Oh, yeah.
That right there is luck itself that actually happened, dude.
Yeah,
That's crazy. I mean, do you think about that? Like that you actually had enough bandwidth at Lagman. There wasn't enough heat or light at Lagman, but yet they had internet.
And a driving range.
And that you actually got on there to be able to meet her.
Right, and Benford Benny was the one that even told me about it. I was like, oh, what are you doing? And he was just kind of, this is what it is. And I went and made a page and and just it happened to just kind of be looking at random people up in Santa Rosa. Mm-hmm. And ended up finding her on there, and we kind of became pen pals and rode back and forth, and then we started talking on the phone and grew from there,
Then you met her and tricked her, and now how many years?
Drugs was what I used for her, yeah. No, 13 and a half years.
The Miller time, that's what got her.
So I just kind of had to put together a plan, and I think, I had the GI Bill, the booster program came out when I was, over in Afghanistan, so I paid the extra $600 for that, and so it was kind of like, well, I knew that getting a degree was something that I'd previously wanted to do. I think for employment wise, it's obviously helpful, and getting paid to go and not having to pay for it's a huge blessing. So, just decided to get out, and I was thinking about doing some aspect of law enforcement. So I was like, all right, criminal justice. Mm-hmm. So I got out, and things just kind of worked out for me, I guess you say. I failed my PPD test, which sucks. So my little skin test.
Oh, your reactor.
Yeah.
Yeah, your reactor. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like half of us failed it, and I was like, dang, because you got to take this medicine for a year. You can't drink on it. You can't drink on it, and so I was like, I'm not going to take it for my last of my time out in Hawaii. So I was like, I'll take it back home. So they said that's fine. You're young, you don't have to worry about. So when you get home, go to your VA, get the medicine, do it. So that's kind of what even made me even really think about going to the VA, and getting all signed up there, and learning about the benefits and whatnot, and got signed up for school. Got a job doing like undercover security, loss prevention, and just from there, I think just start getting back into life, and just a routine that wasn't the Army, which is it's almost like its own world, and and then being married, and learning that, knowing that, hey, I've got responsibilities, bills to pay, and it started to, I kind of had to wind down from the young and reckless, phase of my life.
Repurpose it, the energy. Yeah,
right. Which, going back to like you saying, that was hard. So the next thing is easy. I could do anything, and so I think that mentality of what the skills that I learned from the military and the traits helped me be successful in college, because I did a lot better this time than the first time. First time I'd be fine with the B+, and now I was like, no, I want A's. And so I graduated with the honors. Through that time, I think what helped me also transition and I guess, live in a positive and healthy way. Yeah, I would drink and sometimes too much, but, tone that down, you got to get up and go to work. Mm-hmm. You can't really be, staying up drinking. I had a lot of hobbies, a lot of hobbies, a lot of positive things that I would do with people that, just would just keep me busy. So me and my brother-in-law, we ride dirt bikes. Me and Andy Ramirez, he's out in Downey. We go shooting. He'd actually come out and ride dirt bikes with us too. Go camping when I could. Just try to get back into fishing.
Now, don't you guys have a camping trip coming up this weekend, right? Yeah,
we're going to Camp Kinnickinnick up there towards like the Sequoias. Next weekend.
Yeah, it's gonna be beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's like 20 of us going, a bunch of family members. And
I should have planned my visit better.
That would have been great if you came. Perchek came out he came out here and he went on a camping trip with me and my family. Yeah. So I'm gonna
have to do that sometime.
Yeah. Let me know. I tried it. I'm gonna be doing a Yosemite trip here soon, so you should try to come out.
Yeah, it'd be a good time.
Yeah.
Let me know, man. Let me know.
Yeah, but yes, I did a little gaming and just kind of stayed busy. I stayed away from a lot of bars. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think that, bars, they just, you have to worry about DUIs. You have to worry about getting in fights with other people that are drunk. And, the things that if you were sober and they were sober, it would have been, oh, my bad, bro.
or you would have been friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, let me buy you one.
Yeah.
But it's got to be this, oh, you bumped into me, you looked at my girl wrong, and somebody wants to crack you over the head with a chair. So to avoid all that, hey, just don't put yourself in the situation.
It's cheaper to sip beers at home.
Oh, absolutely. That's another key point. Absolutely, it's like night and day, right? So, and when you're when you're a student working part time, I never really want to spend $50 a night at the bar.
Yeah.
So, Family was huge. My faith, getting into church and being around positive people, having family support me. I used to, have a little bit of difficulty falling asleep. I would, call my brother, call my dad. I think that my takeaway from that for others would be to reach out to people. Don't go through through struggles, through hard times by yourself. Don't go through it alone. Find. I know that you have, brothers in arms out there. You can even reach out to, I know Chris yourself. You'll take a call from a stranger. Anthony Duran said, yeah, exactly. He said the same thing. There's people out there that will talk, and I've been that guy to take the call at 2 a.m. You know what I mean? And we have to be there for each other.
Yep.
And when if I call you 3:30 in the morning, I know that you'll answer. It's the same thing, and I've had to.
It better be a good reason.
Yeah, I'll be like, hey, I got a little diarrhea, and I needed somebody to talk to about it. I had some, pretty solid friends out here too that I met afterwards. That we would do things together, but it was, simple things. Go to the movies, collect some comic books.
Yeah.
Stay busy. I do a lot. I just got into barbecuing and smoking barbecue and meat and whatnot. Actually, we used to do a lot of grilling on the island, so I came back and kind of just kept doing that. So now I got a couple smokers in the backyard, and you see my grill, and hopefully we'll be able to, put it to get it smoking before you leave. I know you got a couple more days, so you try to get some meat on there. But I just really try to stay busy. So, as I, I graduated with honors and was successful in school, I, maintained some sort of job, and I worked some jobs that I was like, hey, you know what? I just got to bring in some money. It doesn't matter really what it is. And as long as you're working, it's something to be proud of, A guy came into my house one time. He was going to service my heater. And so he goes up and he sees my flag and some of the pictures around, and you're a sniper, and I was too. And so we kind of connected because of that, and then he's up there now. We're really, the job probably would have taken 30 minutes. We were talking for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And he was kind of expressed that he was a little down that he was sniper in the Army, and now he's like servicing somebody's heater. Yeah. And I said, dude, I was like, that you were making legitimate means, taking care of your family, your financial responsibilities. That's something to be proud of. I was like, no matter what it is, you know what I mean? And a lot of people were like, oh, I don't want to work, or they want to go and get money illegitimately. But even if it's at McDonald's, like, be proud you're working, for your money, you're earning it.
Yeah.
And I worked for a while, and it was tough, I think, for a lot of vets around my time. Like you said, we went in, right after September 11th when I was getting out after 4 years. So were millions of other people. Yeah. And we came back to an economy that didn't have a whole lot of jobs.
Right.
Took a few years, had to just kind of stick with it. And then I ended up getting hooked up with a federal agency, doing law enforcement. And so that's what I do now.
Hell yeah. We had a lot of veterans, man, that around those same time that got out. And then you would hear that they were back in, but they were in another unit. You know what I mean? They came back in because they couldn't find a job, couldn't stick with it, and they came back in. I'm glad you found it, man. I'm glad you found the way. Yeah.
Now it's just kind of keep it pushing. I think going forward, I want to be there for other people. I want to help people out when I can. I want to continue to serve the community. However way I can. I'm so able-bodied, and I have the means to go and help others.
All right, so my question, we talked about this, but now that you've got everything under control, 13 years under your belt, what's next, man? Where's this family going?
I would like to, have some kids. Yeah. I think that we never really wanted to rush into it. We were both young. We got married, and we had goals that we wanted to accomplish, like getting our degrees. And when I graduated, shortly after, my wife graduated, and she went back, got her master's, got done with that, and then we were, looking for the right job. And one of the things that we've liked to do over the years is travel. So actually, we just came back from New York, then. From New York went to Paris, and from Paris went to London, and then back. And so there was just there's a lot to see in the world. There's a lot to do, and we love kids, but we know that once they start running around and bouncing off the walls, then a lot of that stuff is gonna.
The money dries up.
Oh yeah, the money dries up, and time dries up, and so. And outside of that, I think just try to grow as a man, be better every day. Yeah. And I think some days maybe better than others, but just kind of keep trying to go, progress forward and up.
Right. What do you have for, because thousands of veterans a day are being created. What's your advice for, one of those veterans that's 5 years to 1 minute out? What could you tell them?
I would say it's important to develop a plan, and if you need help in developing that plan, reach out to the organizations out there, from VFW to the VA to so many other veterans organizations, small, large, independent, nonprofit. And we were at the VFW the other day, and we were sitting there for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and we get a couple numbers. Yeah. So you don't have to really try that hard. I think that you gotta open up at some point. You kind of gotta let people in. I think it's hard for people to trust sometimes. Right. When I first got out, I bought my house in 2008, and I remember telling people, if you're outside of my group, my family, it was I wouldn't even invite somebody to my house unless I knew him. I said, if I don't know you for 10 years, you don't need to be at my house. You know what I mean? Like, and I had to get past that. You know what I mean? And it's kind of ridiculous, right? Right. Like, what if you know the guy for 9 years?
He can only stay on the curb.
tell him I'll go to his house. But, you better have beer, right? But, I think open up, let some people in, build some new relationships, build some new bonds.
Right.
And then people, will support you. They'll give you ideas. You'll be able to, network.
Right.
You'll meet somebody. Maybe you had a rough time getting a job, but you met somebody, and he's like, oh, my uncle, he's hiring.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And veterans, we do, and I think we should, and continue to support and encourage and lift up one another.
Right.
You hear about a guy that needs a job, make some calls for him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, without a doubt, man. That's, we got to look out for everybody. Yeah. Yeah, it's no big deal. Well, hey, everybody, I would like to kind of wind the show down with basically kind of a safety thing. You got any safety brief for the weekend for other veterans out there, for them to stay on point, make it through safe?
Wrap it up. If you drink, don't drive. And if you get in a fight, you better win it.
There you go. Hey, everybody, I would, once again, thank you for the support that you're giving the veterans that come on here and tell their stories. Once again, this isn't easy. Going back in the past 13, 14 years and thinking about this stuff, there's a lot of anxiety in there. There's also a lot of healing. So thank you for the support that you give the veterans that come on and open up. And thank you for the shares. Thanks for the likes and the subscriptions. And Mark, thanks for coming on, man. And thank you for letting me stay here at your house. I know I'm kind of an odd cat nowadays. I do things kind of weird, but thanks for letting me stay with you, man. I had a great time.
Thanks for having me on. And it's actually been a good time. I'm glad that you kind of got to see my corner of the world.
Yeah.
And
I like it over here.
Yeah, it's there's a lot to see and do, and just enjoy the sunshine, and even when it's 115 degrees, but
Let's go inside.
we're in the pool or at the beach. So yeah, thanks a lot. Hopefully you'll come back out, and look forward to seeing you the next time, man.
Definitely, man. Definitely. All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you once again for joining us for another episode of the Heart of the Volunteer Veterans Podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Chris. We just had Mark Miller on here, and we are out. Noell Fisher, copyright 2019.